Okay, so for our next talk we have Manuel Lerman, and I don't see a slide, so I don't have a possible title, but you can tell us what you'd like to speak about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to speak more about Jim than about mathematics, but there will be some mathematics in there. And I have a little bit of a sore throat, so pardon me if my voice doesn't come across too clearly. So, first of all, I wanted to welcome you all to the college basketball capital of the world. Jim is a big fan of UConn women's college basketball. So their national championship this year is a much better birthday present for him than my talk is. Uh, in fact, Jim has gone to at least one of their Final Fours, if not more. How many, Jim?
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Okay. Get rid of, change
San,
the
San
background.
Antonio and San Antonio and Nashville.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my original background. Okay, when Ali asked me to give this talk, I tried my best to get out of it. Uh, Shortly after COVID, I stopped doing mathematics, and I rarely think about mathematics anymore, and didn't feel that I could really do justice to the mathematics that I had done with Jim or to mathematics in general, since I don't remember a lot of it. In fact, this has always been one of my problems. I remember once Carl Jacques told me about a theorem in recursive model theory, and I said, "Oh, that's nice. Who proved it?" And he said, "You did." I had no recollection of it. At any rate, um, I decided that Roman asked me then, well, you can say something about Jim and about his contributions at UConn. And I said, okay, I'll give a talk. May not last more than 10 minutes, but I'll try. But I will get some mathematics into it. So Jim and I came to Yale at the same time in 1970. He was a Gibbs at the time. I was an assistant professor at the time, a 3-year appointment. Jim was in another building, and I shared an office with Ed Fisher right next door to Abraham Robinson's office. Uh, about a month after we started, Ed Fisher cornered me and he said, "You know, I'm worried about Jim. He hasn't seemed to, he doesn't seem to have found any mathematics to do. I've tried to get him involved and he doesn't seem to be getting with anything. I don't know if Robinson put him up to it. But anyhow, he asked me to speak to Jim. So I spoke to Jim, and Jim said, fairly annoyed, don't worry about me. Now, many years later, Jim was right. About 150 papers later, there was absolutely nothing to worry about at the time.
I don't remember that meeting.
That's okay. I don't remember a lot, and that'll come out in the talk too, Jim. And I know Angus said before he didn't remember things, sign of our age.
Yeah.
So, oh, to add to what Steve said about the ping pong, there were actually four of us who played occasionally. It was mostly C.T. Chung and Steve. I came semi-frequently, Jim less frequently, and there was also a janitor who played with us who was very good. He just seemed to show up. I don't know if you remember the janitor, Steve. At any rate, uh, we formed a friendship at that time. We did a lot of things together. I was there for the birth of his twins. Uh, he had Fisher and I did some skiing outings on days when none of us was teaching. And his second year there, we were sharing an office. Um,
Didn't you lose a ski from when I was driving and the ski came out of the trunk?
I don't remember that one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, it's quite possible. Uh, we'll tell some anecdotes. Jim went on to UConn in 1972, and I followed him there a year later. And when we got there, because of the Yale connection, we approached Robinson about starting joint seminars. He agreed. Most of the seminars at the beginning were at Yale, but gradually they shifted so that they were both at Yale and UConn. When Carol Wood went to Wesleyan, Wesleyan became part of the logic group as well. And we were the first to get an NSF Logic grant to bring in outside speakers to our seminars. Uh, I don't know if anybody else, I know, let's see, Wisconsin did it briefly, but I don't know if anybody else did it just for small regional seminars. Um, We traveled back and forth to Yale. We managed to get state cars, and there were some incidents along the way, interesting incidents in our travel. I remember one time we were going back, and there was a big snowstorm, and the windshield wiper on the driver's side broke. Remember that one, Jim?
I do.
So
Yes.
I was driving, I was sitting uh, on the gear shift or towards the gear shift side, trying to drive looking out Jim's window. When we got to my house, I had some Rain-X, so I put it on the window and it made everything sheet off the windshield. And Jim had an easy drive back to stores. Another time, Jim had seen me a few times. When I closed the door and it didn't close all the way, I would give it a light shove with my rear end to close it. So Jim tried that once and put a nice dent in the door. Didn't do it gently and had to bring the car back and explain what happened. But those were fun times. Um, I'll talk about Jim at UConn in a few minutes, but first I wanted to say a few words about our joint work. There were two papers that Jim and I worked jointly on, the second one with some other people. The first one was on theories with recursive models that I once got a nice comment from the Russians about, I think it was Goncharov who really liked it. Um, I'll talk about the results in a minute, but that was mostly Jim's paper, almost exclusively Jim's paper. Jim had a paper written. He came to me. The paper had some priority arguments in it, and he asked me to check out the priority arguments. And with no background in priority arguments didn't work. So he asked me to fix them up. I did that and told him he should publish the paper on his own. And he insisted that I'd be a joint author on that. So I think he deserves almost all the credit for that paper.
I,
That paper had
I don't remember that.
what?
I don't remember that. I remember the paper, but I don't remember that story you just told.
Yeah, I don't remember whether it was just the first theorem or the all three theorems,
Yeah.
but I do remember the story very clearly. It's interesting. When I went to my 50th high school reunion, people were telling anecdotes about what they remembered, and everybody was telling a different anecdote, and nobody remembered the anecdote that the other people were
Yeah.
telling. So you remember what made an impression on you? So the first theorem dealt with when an Olive-Knapp categorical theory T has a recursive model. And Jim came up with a great condition that if the sigma n plus two sentences of T are sigma 0 n plus 1 uniformly in n, then T has a recursive model, and he showed that that was best possible. The other two theorems looked at, let's see, what were they? Trees and recursive and linear orderings. And there were theorems which I think again were best possible on when a theory of a given level of the arithmetical hierarchy, whether all theories of that level had recursive models. Uh, with those two results, they generalized results of Yershov in the first case and Peredyotkin in the second case. Uh, and this was, I think, one of Jim's real talents. He read a lot of the literature, found things that were interesting, that interested him, looked at theorems, and said, I can get a better theorem than that. There were some examples of that in the talk earlier today, and managed to get great generalizations of theorems that were just theorems about, you know, single theorems at low levels. Uh, the second paper was on self-embeddings of trees with five authors. It was everybody in the logic group at UConn at the time, myself, Jim, Reed Solomon, Bjorn Kjos Hansen, and Steve Binns, who were postdocs at the time, Bjorn and Steve. And I looked at that paper again, and I don't remember a thing about it.
So my contribution to that was almost negligible, I think, if I
So we're
remember
even then.
right.
Yeah, there were a bunch of priority arguments in that I probably was at least partially responsible for, but I have no recollection of the paper. But there were some nice results in that. Um, it dealt with what we can say about the degrees computing a non-trivial self-embedding for a computable tree, and we looked at particular classes of trees. Similar questions about the chain anti-chain condition for trees and some reverse mathematics implications for the theorems. Uh, our other mathematical interactions were sort of limited. Jim would come to me with questions about recursion theory. Sometimes I could answer them. Most times I couldn't. And I went to my encyclopedia of recursion theory for answers, namely Carl Jacques, who knew practically every result in recursion theory and could tell you what was known. Um, Jim had an effect on the research of a number of people at UConn. He was jack of all trades, and especially with questions about combinatorics, a number of people would come to him, ask him questions. Jim would come with answers. I'm sure he wrote some joint papers with some of them, but he was admired and knew an awful lot, a lot more than I did. Uh, there was a lot that I admired about Jim. He had a broad knowledge, many talents in mathematics, and a lot of deep insights. And he stayed a friend. We've been in touch socially since he retired, since I retired. We Zoom monthly. Now that he has moved away, we stay in touch through some common friends as well. Uh, it's a friendship I've always valued, a colleague I've always valued, and I'd like to wish you a very happy birthday, Jim.
Well, thank you, Manny. That was not nice of you to say. But I was going to make a comment about our paper that we wrote. I think Julia made some improvements on it. Is that right, Julia?
I have no recollection.
Oh,
Join the club.
I
Which
think you
one?
did. That first one, the other one, I don't know anything about. Um, the the paper about uh, all of non-categorical theories with recursive models. I thought you.
Oh, maybe there was yeah, maybe
I
I
think
do know.
you
Yeah,
did something,
I
but I
did.
don't
No, I
remember
can't
now.
remember what it was, but it
Yeah.
it
Okay.
was yeah, I think you had assumed an extra condition that you maybe didn't.
Oh, could be.
I mean, you
No,
don't need
I don't
quite
know.
Aleph not categoricity. You can reduce it a little bit.
Oh,
Um,
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Although I can't remember
I
exactly.
thought you had some kind of uniformity that
Yeah,
over n, but I don't remember now what it
yeah, there's
was.
something that's sort of an N level argument, but
Oh,
I
okay.
I mean, you had a sort of pullback. If you have a, a model with so that the a certain number of jumps of your structure had this cardinality, then one fewer jumps, or had this degree, then one fewer jumps, you could go down. So something.
Yeah, could be. I don't remember.
And I think you could go through all omega many levels of that
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
that
right.
backing up.
Okay.
Reed, do you remember anything about the trees paper?
Oh, yeah.
I so I vaguely. Um,
You're younger.
yeah, yeah. Um, no, but I did run into Bjorn a couple years ago, and one of the things that he reminisced a lot about was how enjoyable the sort of traveling back and forth to the seminar was, the sort of general camaraderie that sort of comes from, from doing the back and forth and the traveling and the chatting and the car rides and all of that, which I heartily agreed with.
So let me say, Reed,
Mhm.
it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes, it's good to see you. Uh, Yeah, I was laughing with Ellen when I told her. She said to say hi, by the way, and
Okay, good.
that it had been a while since your mail had been left on the floor of my car. So the one Jim story that I will tell is I used to pick Jim up once in a while to go to the Connecticut seminar, and frequently, well, Jim would walk to campus and then he would get a ride with me to go meet Manny, and we'd drive on to Wesleyan. And very frequently, Jim would pick up his mail and then would look at it from the office, and would leave it on the floor of my car. And one sort of
Yeah,
made
there's some
joke
mail
about
that
how I seem
I
to be his recycling bin. So
so no, there's some mail that I would hope that you still have because
Unpaid bills?
So
maybe
let me
also.
interject here and just let's all thank Manny for the talk. I saw some people did react but let's officially thank him for the talk, and then I'll stop the recording and we can continue on the
thanks.
conversation
Yeah.
during the break.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you, Manny, and yeah,